So any research which is driven by an extrinsic motivation, in my understanding, that is a very low motivation. You should do research for research sake. That's it. No publication, no rewards, no achievement, no pat on the back, nothing, nothing, nothing. Do research for your own sake, for your fulfillment, for your contentment. And to start a research journey, you should be a very good reader. You should read as much as possible, as it could be. Now, who shall benefit from our research? If I take you to the third very important question, who shall benefit? Firstly, you benefit. Now, when I started my research journey in 2015, and since 2015 until today, I visit many colleges. I teach many people. Yes, just last month I was conducting a workshop for 50 people across India, and most of the people were from IIMs and IITs. So, first of all, if you ask my opinion, who benefits from your research? First of all, if you do a quality research, it is who are going to benefit. People are going to invite you. People are going to listen to you. Secondly, the society benefits if your research is very good. The research that I was talking about, if you do high quality research, ultimately society benefits. Take example of Bhavna Education Society. There must be many issues around this college. You can write a paper on it. You can write a paper on teacher satisfaction. You can write a paper on teachers' identification with their job. You can talk about papers how students excel in their examination. There are so many burning issues in and around us. You can take any topic, explore your understanding, ask the right set of questions, and you can go ahead. And good quality research starts with asking a right question. Just imagine C.V. Raman just gazing at the seashore and saying that why should the color of ocean be blue, and ultimately he discovered the Raman effect. Yeah, okay. Now next question. The answer is to my friend Professor Aruna, Dr. Aruna, who happens to be the principal of this particular institute. Now, what should be the role of institutions? I very strongly suggest. I was invited in Karnataka to train teachers, and I'll tell you what mistake I did when I was training teachers in Karnataka. I came from a very top-notch institute. So there I said, you all should be committed to research and all those things. One professor got annoyed with me. Sir, you come from Mumbai and I'm in Karnataka at a very different place. So my salary, you don't know, my salary is just 10 to 15,000 rupees. You earn more than lakh rupees. So institution doesn't pay even 500 rupees for attending workshops and conferences. So don't lecture us. Instead, in fact, that professor, he blasted me like anything, and I was very happy that that person blasted me, because when you speak to people, you should understand their context. You should understand what background they come from, and what is their thought process, and what is their psychology. And this question, role of institutions, I would very strongly suggest Professor Aruna, Dr. Aruna, that at least you should have a budget for faculties. Let faculties go to good places and publish papers or go to attend conferences. Normally management can have a budget. When I was at Somaya, I was the CDC member, the College Development Committee member, and I strongly raised my voice, telling the principal as well as the management that we require budget. So in the CDC, we passed that every teacher will be given 5,000 rupees. By the way, 5,000 rupees is very less. Let's say if you're a professor at IIT Bombay or IIM Ahmedabad, the budget is 2 lakh rupees per faculty. 2 lakh rupees per faculty. So now my humble suggestion to all people, if some administrators are there, you should have a budget for your staff so that they should do research. Encourage your staff to attend some conferences in India and abroad, so that ultimately they are on the mark. Again, there are constraints. I'm not saying, see, resource is a very scarce. It's very difficult to run organization these days and keep people motivated for a very long period of time. But yes, the role of institutions, particularly trustees, management members, they should be very conscious that they should create necessary infrastructure within the institute, create necessary budget, and create necessary interventions at the institution level, so that ultimately people are encouraged to do research, because institutional push is required for people to start their research journey. Lastly, and very important, I want each one of you to pay attention to this. Do you have a research mindset? We always blame institutions, we blame principals, we blame our colleagues, we blame our management. But do we blame ourselves, that do we have a research mindset? Now, when I say having a research mindset, it means that am I able to conceptualize things like a researcher? Am I able to see correlation between various things that is happening? Let me put it very simply. Attendance and marks. Do you think there is a correlation between it? Actually, if you ask my opinion, if I run a regression, let's say if I take attendance of students and if I take marks of the students, and if I run a regression, definitely attendance and marks will have a very positive relationship. All those people who attend regular lectures, they tend to score more marks. As simple as that. When Corona came, there was a perception that Corona will not spread in India because India is a tropical country and the climate usually in India is very high. And in the initial phase, lot of deaths were happening in Mediterranean or maybe the countries which had cooler climates or cooler weather. So there was a perception in India that Corona will not spread more in India, but this perception was belied. In fact, Corona equally spread in India like other countries. So the association that people were drawing that temperature and spread of virus will have an inverse relationship, that was refuted. In fact, temperature and virus, almost they have no relationship. Yes. So whenever you look at a problem, look at from a researcher's perspective. A researcher will always have a solution mindset. Let's say if a problem comes, try to have a holistic perspective to that problem. If a problem is there, always see a big picture. Have a what you call as a holistic approach towards that problem rather than seeing that problem to yourself. Okay, so it's very important that we need to have a researcher's mindset, and researcher's mindset is something that you need to cultivate over the period of your time. I would very strongly suggest to all teachers of Bhavna Trust and people who are attending online that it is you who has to take the onus on yourself to cultivate a mindset of a researcher, because a researcher mindset is altogether very different. A researcher will think will think in a very different way than what ordinary teachers or for that matter ordinary people think. Yes. Okay. So it's very important. The last question is very important. Do you have a researcher's mindset? Now, this question is for yourself. Ask yourself. 7 years back, when I started this journey, I was not having a researcher's mindset. But today, yes, I have a researcher's mindset. Now, you can see this person before you. I'm sure most of you will not be able to recognize him. And some of you, yeah, definitely you might be able to recognize him. And if it was an offline class, I would have asked each one of you that who is this fellow or who is this person. And he has given a very interesting quote. See the quote. My hero is Nobel laureate Neville Mott, who published 4 papers at the age of 92 when he died. So there was a Nobel laureate. His name was Neville Mott. When he was 92 years old, he published 4 papers and he died. Just imagine a 92 years old person. He is about to go in grave. See this person's motivation. He is writing 4 papers in top-notch journal and getting this published. So this, and he is none other than Professor C.N.R. Rao. Professor C.N.R. Rao, let me tell you, he has got all top-notch awards in India. He's a Bharat Ratna. And he got Bharat Ratna when Sachin Tendulkar was being awarded Bharat Ratna, I think in 2013. So if you just type Sachin Tendulkar getting Bharat Ratna, so Sachin Tendulkar and Professor C.N.R. Rao, they both got Bharat Ratna, or rather they both received Bharat Ratna on one particular day. So nobody recognizes C.N.R. Rao, but everybody recognizes Sachin Tendulkar. But actually they both received Bharat Ratna on same day. You go to YouTube and type Sachin Tendulkar receiving Bharat Ratna, you'll see that this fellow is seated to Sachin Tendulkar. Not many people will recognize Professor C.N.R. Rao. And he says, my biggest motivation is a 92-year-old professor who was about to die and he published 4 papers. Just imagine what high intrinsic motivation that professor would have had. Yes? Okay. Now let's talk about streams in Indian management research. How Indian management research is going about. I come from management discipline. I come from social science background. So there are 3 streams of management research. One is nostalgic research. When I say nostalgic research, people are more obsessed with their past. People are doing a lot of historical research and they talk about the glorious past. No doubt, India's past is glorious. If you read books like The Wonder That India Was by Professor A.L. Basham, he writes beautifully about Indian history. If you read about Professor Jadunath Sarkar, again, he writes beautifully on Indian history. So there is a stream of research where people are getting nostalgic about their past and they tend to write very high about their past. Now, nothing wrong, or let's say there is no ill in talking very high about our past, but it should be backed by scientific evidence. Now, when you say that Indians knew the art of a flying shuttle, let's say Ravan had a Viman, uh, Indians knew the art of a flying shuttle, you should also know, you should also produce those facts related to aerospace engineering, that yes, there was a flying shuttle, but there was an advanced science which talked about aerospace engineering. So now you see that politicians making a statement that Indian knew the art of making aircraft, but where is that science, or where is that knowledge, that what materials were used in designing that Pushpak Vimana? So nostalgic research, it is good, but it has to be backed by scientific evidence. If there is no evidence, it becomes a folk story, or it simply becomes a fairy tale. People will not take it seriously. Second is positivist research, which most of Indians are doing. When I say positivist research, it means it's a quantitative research. You do a survey, you run a model, or you create a model and you test it. Now, when you talk about positivist research, you tend to adopt lot many measurements from Western countries, particularly America and Europe, and you try to fit their concept into Indian schemes. Let's say I want to measure job satisfaction of teachers. How would I measure? If I want to measure job satisfaction of teachers, how would I measure? Or let's say if I want to measure work-life balance of teachers, how would I measure? I would ask a couple of questions to teachers and ultimately sum up on a Likert scale, and I would come to know that whether teachers are satisfied with their job or not, whether teachers are having a fair work-life balance or not. So when I say positivist research, it depends heavily on Western constructs, Western concepts, and Western measurements, which is a folly in itself. Why not, as Indians, we tend to have our own way of measuring things? Why are we so reliant, or why are we so dependent on constructs or on measurements which are created in the Western countries? Why are we so obsessed with things that are Western? Or why are we seeing Indian problems